Hello, everyone. You're listening to Michelle Speaks on 180radionow.com, currently heard in over 128 countries around the world, and I'm your host, Michelle Portier, founder of Healing Women, Healing Nations of Northeast Florida. We live in a society that condones living behind masks, hiding who we are and the issues we face, some too taboo to discuss with anyone. You may be worried about being judged or ashamed of what others may be thinking of you. Michelle Speaks not only uncovers it, but we look for solutions to deal with it head on. Stay tuned as we get to the heart of the matter, because if you hide it, you can't heal it. Welcome to this week's episode of Michelle Speaks. If you hide it, you can't heal it, with me, your host, Michelle Portier. Today we are going to be talking about the expectations of women's roles in today's society with my very special guest, Miss Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor. Before I allow Sequoyah to introduce herself, I want to give you a brief intro. From the beginning of time, it's been ingrained in women to be nurturers, caretakers, homemakers, sister friends, surrogate mothers, and the many other roles that we will fill, often simultaneously. Amid all, attempting to be every woman. Often we get lost in the mix. We are expected to be the flawless wife or significant other, a vixen in the bedroom, a lady in the public eye, a friend indeed for those in need, super mom. After all, moms can do anything. The ideal daughter and or daughter-in-law, fitting into the molds our loved ones create for us. The many hats we wear goes on and on and on. But what happens when we begin to realize, who am I? Meaning, who am I to me? Where do I end and everyone else begins? Even other women hold us to an excruciatingly high level of expectation of being everything to everyone, with remarks such as, "You're strong, you can handle it. Whatever comes your way. Put on your big girl panties, suck it up, and deal with it." Hold up. What if in dealing with it, I lose me in the process? I am not every woman. So journey with us as we get to the heart of the matter. So again, I want to thank my very special guest, business colleague, friend, sister girl, Miss Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor. Thank you for coming on today, Sequoyah.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you guys so much for having me. Super excited to talk to you guys about why I'm not every woman.
Well,
let's start that off like at the beginning. I'm not her. I'm not she.
And you guys heard that, right?
I'm not.
She is not.
Yeah.
Sequoyah, I know that you're going to be speaking for many, many, many women today, probably myself included. In fact, I'm sure. But before we get into it, I want you to tell my listening audience, who is Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor, personally, professionally, and spiritually?
You ready?
I'm ready. I got that look. I'm ready.
I think the first thing that most people would say is to start calling off some of those roles, that I'm a mom, that I'm a wife, that I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. But I've had to learn that those are just the roles that we play. Those are assignments that are placed upon us. And so for me, I'm crazy at times. I've been told to have a great sense of humor, even though I'm being dead serious.
Like, are you the good cray-cray or the bad cray-cray?
It depends on who comes out that day.
Well, who are we dealing with today?
You dealing with good cray-cray.
Okay,
like,
good.
You know.
We good. All right.
But I just think that I'm a person.
Birthday kit back.
I'm that person that is growing every day.
Right.
I know for a fact that I'm a princess of the king.
Amen.
And that I'm entitled to greatness, and that I will be great, and that I am great, and that I am, every day I'm going to be the woman that I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
And that has nothing tied to anything else.
Right.
Today I'm going to be Sequoyah today, and then tomorrow I'm going to be Sequoyah somebody else.
Okay.
And so I don't hold myself to.
So it's not tied to any label.
It can't be.
Okay.
It can't be, because you can be an entrepreneur today. You can work on somebody's job today, be an employee. You're going to be a mom. Some people are women, but they're not mothers. So those are all roles that are being assigned to us. Some people, women, are never become a wife.
Right.
And that's their assignment on this earth. So
doesn't make them less than a woman.
Exactly. So the key thing that when I came out of my mother's womb, I am a girl, so I'm a woman. And you can't tie that to anything else, especially those roles. And each person, each woman is going to be her own woman. And so I've had to learn that I can't tie myself to any roles, because at any given time, I'm going to be subjected to that. It's expected for me to be in that role when I may not feel like being mom right now.
Right.
I may not feel like being wife right now. I
so
just want to be
don't try
Sequoyah.
to put me in a box, categorize me.
There is no box. There is no such thing as a box.
I love it. There is no box. As coined by our the international director of E3, Mr. Anthony Butler.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that's who Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor is. So who are you spiritually?
Who am I spiritually? I'm a person that's taking a journey and discovering things every day. I'm a person who has a personal relationship with God and building it to the way that I know that He will have me to do it. And to get, asking Him daily, what is the vision that He will have for me that day? Okay. And not tying myself to someone else. I'm on a journey that every day I should learn something about my relationship with God, because it's ever growing. We have our good days. We have our bad days.
Never stagnant. Never the same.
Never. Sometimes He talks to me in a certain way, and sometimes I don't want to listen.
Well,
but it's still a actual relationship. And as long as any relationship that you have, it has to be forever growing. And
that's the key.
Me spiritually, I know I can't be tied down to what I made a mistake on even this morning. Right. I have to keep growing and be that person, and knowing that He's always going to love me, and I'm in His arms, so I don't have to worry about that.
Unconditionally. Good deal. So there you have it for my listening audience, a little bit more about who Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor is. So we're going to jump right into it. So in your definition, what exactly does "I'm not every woman" mean to you?
I'm not every woman means that all those expectations that is placed on us by a lot of people outside of us, but it ultimately is ourselves that places a lot of that stress and undue, unnecessary things that we tell ourselves that I'm supposed to be a wife, so a wife is supposed to act like this.
That's what we're supposed to aspire to.
We're supposed to do those things.
So is it self-inflicted?
A lot of it is, and a lot of it is societal, that we see stuff in society that, that person looks happy, so, and they're a wife, or they're happy and they're a mom, or they're happy and they have a career, they went to college and now they're a doctor.
So that's what's going to make me happy.
So that's what's going to make me happy as well. So the reason why I say I'm not every woman is because it's okay for her to be her own woman in that way, but I'm not her. But we're all together collectively. We make a collective of women. Right. But the way that you're a woman is not the same way that I'm not gonna be that same type of woman that you are.
So basically, in a sense, you're saying that you have to define what a woman means to you, the individual person.
Absolutely. Okay. And it definitely has to be a self introspection. You have to take self inventory to say, okay, well, what is it that I really believe about what a woman is? Right. They tell you that a business woman dresses up in suits and they do this and they make so much money a year, and a mother should be this way, a wife should be this way, and then when you get into those relationships and then you're putting on airs, for lack of a better word, pretense. That's not what you find out to be. Yeah. Correct.
That sounds like tradition of what we're, again, going back to societal expectations of who and what a woman is. But if that's something that we've seen, for generations in our family, how do we know to do different? How do we get to the point where we want to really identify within ourselves what a woman means?
I think it still goes back to being that self-inspection. You have to come to a point where you're going to stop and you have to disconnect from everyone and everything and take time with yourself and be quiet. No music, no TV. Even if you have to go away. For me, it was a beach trip that I was alone. I didn't have anybody in that area that I knew. and taking that time just with me and God and asking him, who do you want Sequoyah to be? Not what the world says I should be, but who do you want me to be? And, discovering those type of things and not like just peeling back layers of who I thought I was. And was it self, do I think about this, or did my mom tell me this?
Right.
And then, I heard a quote where someone told me one time that at some point you cease to become the victim, you become the volunteer.
Can you kind of expound on that?
So it applies to any type of situation. When I first heard it, I was like, wait, what did you just say? That wasn't nice.
Right.
She was telling it to someone else and she was mad. But when you think about it, I was like, okay, I got to marinate on this in a couple of days. Right. And she was saying it to be, to me, negative. And she was telling her, you know what, at some point you keep being the victim, but at some point you're becoming the volunteer. And I'm like, okay, what?
What does that mean?
But if you think about it, even if someone commits a crime, domestic violence, you didn't have a father growing up, your mother wasn't your best friend. You can tell that story over and over and over and over again, but at some point you have to say, okay, this is the story, this is the narrative. Am I going to change it? Is the last chapter going to be different?
Okay.
Am I going to spin it around to make it kind of look like this?
Okay.
You become the volunteer to that situation when you keep allowing it.
So at some point that hat switches from that of a victim to volunteering.
Yes.
Is that the precept?
Yes, because as a woman, you have to decide to say, okay, what does that mean? Like we have a dictionary word of what a woman is, and they'll say genitalia and things of that nature. But you also have to realize that some people identify with being women, and they weren't born a woman. So you're like, okay, well, how can you identify with being like what they say I'm supposed to be, and you were born a male? So even those misconceptions of identity and identifying who you are, and some of the things that I do as a woman, you might think that's crazy.
Right.
And I may say, well, girl, you crazy because you feel like you have to shave your legs every day. And I'm like, girl, I don't shave my legs but once a month. Like, it's cool. Like, I don't got to shave on. And that's...
So knowing what our identity is, that comes down to self-reflection,
I would say self-awareness, self-consciousness, self-esteem, all those self-words that we inflict on someone else. Girl, you messed up my self-esteem, your self-esteem. So how can I mess up your self-esteem about you?
Right.
You're supposed to become self-aware. So how did I?
So what are some of the misconceptions of others about who you are as a woman? What have some of those misconceptions been, like growing up within your family and friends, and those that have other expectations of who you should be as a woman versus who you know that you are as a woman?
Well, growing up in the church, first of all, it was always, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, and a Christian woman behaves this way, and you're supposed to be seen and not heard, and you're not supposed to talk and do these things, and you yes ma'am and no ma'am and yes sir, and I truly believe in a lot of those things that I was taught.
Right.
But I had to start learning, and it took for me to have two girls of my own to like shake my whole world.
Right.
To say, okay, well, some of these things are not really like cool, but it was like, I think my mother seen them with my grandmother, and I'm sure my grandmother saw them with my great grandmother and so forth. And so I had to realize that I have to break those things. The same way you have to break a generational curse,
right? You
have to still break some of those what we consider traditions, or that we do it just because Big Mama did it. Doesn't necessarily mean Big Mama was wrong. She worked with the best she had.
Right.
And so now that we know better, we have a little bit more resources. We have a little bit more knowledge. We have to change that way of thinking and realize that we are, what they consider to be a woman is not necessarily what I would consider to be a woman, or working 40 hours or 60 hours a week and then still have to be a wife, and to be a wife you have to act this certain way. I don't think we should label each other and define ourselves based on what someone else says.
So now that you've come to a place of self-awareness of who you are, who Sequoyah is as a woman, who you are now based on who you were programmed to be or told that you expected to be growing up, how does that differ? And when did you have that epiphany or that aha moment that this is not who I have to be and this is not me because this doesn't, you know what I understand? You understand what I'm asking?
Right. I think it came when my first daughter, I think I named my kids based off different things that was going on in my life. And so growing up, I saw women being loud. I saw women, if you tried them, they would go off. You get it where you live. If you try them, they would, I don't care, we're in the middle of the grocery store.
What does that mean? You get it where you live.
That if you cut up, you can get spanked in the middle of the store.
Okay, gotcha.
If somebody tried them in the store, they would cuss them out in the store.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
So it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be nice and polite. No, girl, you tried it. You can get it right here in the store.
Okay.
Don't play with me. That type of thing. And so I also learned about being the professional woman though too, is that I had to put on airs, because in order for me to go and be better than other people or other situations, I was always the youngest person where I worked. So I had to, was taught, oh, well, you should dress this way, or you should say these different things, and you should put your white girl voice on. And I realized that yes, it is about what you know and who you know, but it's also whatever is for me is gonna be for me. And I had to come to a self realization when I start having daughters and they start emulating things that I was doing. And I started seeing, like, even with my youngest daughter, she's only 2.5, but I see so many things. I'm like, oh wait, she gonna be out the chain,
right?
So and my oldest daughter, she's so kind and she's so loyal, and she's loyal to a fault,
right?
And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, was I
to
that
a detriment
person?
To herself.
And I had to start realizing it. But my youngest one, she'll fight you in a heartbeat. She doesn't care.
Really?
Like if you try her, she's gonna be the one to tell you how she feel right then.
Well,
and there's nothing wrong with either one of those things.
Right.
But I want them to grow up to realize that you have to do what you feel is best.
Okay.
And
so you want them to come into that on their own, not anything that you've poured into them or you've molded them to be.
Correct. I just want them to have the freedom, because I don't feel like, and nothing, to say to my mom, but I don't feel like I had the freedom to necessarily say what I could and could not do. It was always saying, well, this is what is expected of you, or this is how a woman should be, or I may have seen that. And so I felt like, oh my God, if I don't do that, it's wrong.
Then you're not being a woman.
And it wasn't, and it was never said. It was that understood you.
Okay.
If you saw that, that's how it was. If you went to church and church women were doing certain stuff, and then if someone did something wrong, they would talk about it. So you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do what she did.
Right.
So you felt like that was wrong, but you didn't
get an opportunity to explore it yourself.
Correct. And so always trying to be on the safe side.
Right.
It was a lot of things that was like, okay, I wasn't going out doing this, I wasn't clubbing, I wasn't doing these things, which to some people was good, but then at the same time, it's like some of those experiences I got saved from, but in some of those experiences I felt like I could have learned from.
Okay.
And just being responsible, always having been a responsible person. And so growing up and feeling like because I was the oldest, or always being responsible for something, you're the beginning of a legacy of something. You kind of get tied into that, oh, don't do things because church will not be, people at church won't be happy, or
right.
You get that inclination that if I do something wrong, they're going to say something about it, and then I'm going to get talked about, and I'm going to be the one that comes to the altar and they have to pray for and all this, or a sermon is going to be preached because I did something wrong. And when you grow up like that, you just realize that you kind of put a lot of stuff inside.
You internalize.
And then you create a box.
Okay.
Because then the first time someone comes and challenges you on that, you like go all up in odds. Oh my God,
right.
no, you didn't. Like, I'm not supposed to do that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, why? Like, all I'm saying is
like,
this.
why not? So in a sense, you felt like you were kind of repressed in really being able to explore like who Sequoyah is as a woman, or who Sequoyah could be as a woman. Yes, in certain aspects, because you realize that life is so much more than, living inside of a box that doesn't even exist. Okay. It's like you sit there and you're saying like, okay, I have free space, I have open space, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that the door was open, but I thought I was always in prison. Right. And I've been looking at it so long that it looked like the gate is still closed, but when it's open, the gate is open, and then you don't even realize it. And so going into that, you just realize that you have to, be better, because I have 2 daughters, so now I have to realize I have to be better for them. I don't want them to experience certain things. I do want to protect them from certain things, right? But then other things. But you want to allow them the freedom to kind of explore who they are, correct, as individuals. Correct. Okay, I got it. I got you. So now that Sequoyah is out of the box, and you are not every woman, describe some of the challenges that you've encountered coming to that realization and coming to that freedom. Have you had family members or friends be envious or jealous because you are being Sequoyah? You're expressing yourself, who you are, not who they expect you to be. I would say yes. In certain ways, it's been one of those things where it's like you think you're better than me, or you think you're better than somebody else. And I've had to realize what that really means. That's not directed toward me. That's directed toward themselves. Okay. That's, to me, is an oxymoron to tell me I think I'm better than someone else. And
when you do that to someone, you're like stifling them in a way.
Right.
When you have people who say, "Oh, you're hating," or you think you're better than someone else, that's fear. Mm-hmm. That's fear on their behalf. They're the one who is fearful of me having success, and it's based off self, because you're fearful that I'm going to do something and had the faith to step out and do something or become the woman I should be, and you did not. So because you did not, I'm wrong for doing it.
You're projecting that onto you.
Correct.
So that's fear, and I think also a little bit of insecurity, don't you think? Because you're saying self-reflective, self-esteem, self-worth, right?
And I think it's learned, because when everybody's talking about, well, I have all these haters, and I have all these haters, but at the end of the day, like, how many haters do you really have? Like, what are you really doing to have all these haters? Like, I have all these haters, people hating on me and things like that. And when
your mind is like, for what? What are you doing?
What are you doing to have haters, and what do you really know what that means? Or what is your definition of haters? And a lot of times it's the hate of yourself. You're doing it to yourself and then thinking people are thinking that way. Because half the time people are not thinking about you, or they're doing their own thing, or they may say something to spite you, but at the end of the day, that becomes self. And I've had to learn, out of everything I had to learn, is to not be a people pleaser. I have to realize that I have to do what is best for me. And if it feels right with my gut, if I've prayed on it and God has told me to do that, I have to do what's best for me. I can't worry about what someone else is saying. I can't worry about that someone is upset or worrying about, like, they're not going to like me anymore.
Right.
I had to start realizing and quantify, like, instead of saying I got to have a whole bunch of friends, I'm like, no, I just want to have quality friends. I don't care if it's one person or it's two people. I had to start identifying who they were. Are you an associate? Are you an acquaintance? Are you a friend? Are you family? And start putting people in their proper place. Because the same girl who would go out and want to have dinner all the time, I would get mad when she wouldn't support me in my business.
Right.
I would get mad when she wouldn't come babysit when I felt like I was stressed, and I'm like, okay, come get them.
Right.
But that wasn't her role.
Does that. Right.
A friend does that. Right. But that wasn't her role. And I was getting upset because I did not know her proper role. Okay. I would have other friends who I wouldn't speak to in a year, 2 years, and I would call and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, well, come over. You can eat. We fix dinner. Come eat. Right. Go ahead and go get some sleep. We'll watch the kids. And then you're like, okay, but I haven't spoken to you in 2 years. So why are you doing this? I thought we were acquaintances. That's somebody who I would have said was an acquaintance. Right. But I think that's the thing with women. We always want to put everybody, as soon as you meet them, girl, that's my new best friend. Right. Meet my new best friend. And you automatically classify someone as your friend.
Right. Without really knowing who they are. Or without them knowing who you are, really.
Yes, and who they are to you.
So I want to go back and touch on something you said about being a people pleaser. Do you feel that that's something that women are taught to be?
Yes. I definitely think it's something that we're taught, because you're never taught about self-care. Like, now we're becoming awakened, and now everybody's like, oh, self-care. That's just recent year. Yeah. That's the hot topic now. But it was where, girl, your house is dirty. Your kids running around looking crazy. Your man looking like you slipping. Right. It was always the expectation of doing something else. It's your responsibility. So yeah, I have to be people pleasing. If he not pleased, then if you don't please your man, he gonna go step out. If you don't do that with these kids, they're gonna be bad. They're gonna be criminals. If you don't look at your house, you're gonna have all of those were expectations. And so if you're not going to be every woman, it's okay to ask for help. Because I need a nanny, I need a cook, I need a chauffeur, I need somebody. You need all that. I need everybody. So when the point comes, when you see somebody else, taxiing my kids, don't judge me, because I'm not that woman that has to feel like I have to do that. It's so many other things that I can do. And as if I could get assistance in that one area, then so be it. That's one thing that I'm able not to be as great in, and I needed help in. And then so with the stuff that I'm great in, I could be greater in. And I think that's where we as women, we classify that too. We judge each other about, girl, what you not doing, what you doing, this and that. And so then you start feeling like, okay, that's a role.
So what is that based on? That judgment that they're bringing upon one another, what is that based on?
It's based off of stereotypes. It's based off of, because you have black women, we supposed to be loud and ghetto and hood, and girl, we supposed to be about to cut you, and we're not intellectual. We can't have a conversation without cursing. We can't hold our own in certain environments. Those are stereotypes. And we have 55 kids. We own the system. Right. And since we're not, and you have women, especially like you and I, who are saying, okay, no, that's not correct. Right. I can hold my own. I can have a business. I can have a business with several different divisions in that business. Right. I can still take care of my household. I can still have a husband. I can have all these things. It's just that.
But that still does not make me every woman.
That's correct, because every woman can't do that.
Right.
And so, and that's cool, because the whole point is identifying what you can do and what you cannot do. And then that's cool, because if you're in my circle and you're not good at cooking, and I can cook, girl, come on, I'm gonna show you some recipes of this and this and this. Or look, I need somebody to come help me wash these dishes. I'm gonna pay somebody each week to come, clean up my kitchen and clean up and wash. That's the whole point. But we're so in society that we have to do all of these things.
Right.
And then when someone doesn't do that, then you're not a woman. You're not a good woman. And then you have men walking around talking about, oh, I need me a good woman. She got to cook and clean and this and that. And then you have women walking around, girl, what you doing? You slacking. You don't get your nails done. You ain't getting your hair done. You ain't getting your feet done. Well, when did that classify me to be a woman? Right. I don't have to walk around with my nails done because I'm not materialistic. That's not something I feel like is important.
Right.
To me, it's like, go save that money and go buy some property. Go buy some art. Go invest in something. Get you some stock. That's more important to me. So that makes me a different type of woman. But to you, you might say, I'm not a woman. I'm not a good woman. And so I think that's the misconception.
And who defines good woman versus, you're not meeting your expectations. You're not living up to what you're supposed to be as a woman.
I think that's the same thing as when you said beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It becomes my definition because I can look at you because I have a wider spectrum and say, she's a good woman. Oh, but girl, you got a nanny? You a good woman, girl. You got that nanny? How you got that?
Right.
I'm able to be able to see that and not hold judgment to people or women where they are in their life. And I think if you don't have those expectations, if you haven't had that knowledge or willing to expand your mind to accept other women in whatever way they come, then that's why you are able to judge them. And so whoever's looking at the situation, they're going to actually have their viewpoint on it. They're the ones who are going to say, girl, and then you have I'm going to go tell somebody else about it instead of going to her and saying, hey, what's going on? And let me explain the situation to you. I'm going to talk about it to somebody else. So that's where you have the pettiness.
Why do women do that? I know we do that a lot. I'm not even going to lie and say I've been guilty of it in the past.
Right.
Judging someone based on their appearance or how they act. But how do we get beyond that? And why do we do that to other women instead of being supportive?
Because we're not aware of our own selves. Because if we were really to be honest, if I look at and I'm guilty, let me just be the first one to say I'm guilty of it. I've done it. And it's a constant consideration to say, well, what if that was you? And we're not putting ourselves in each other's shoes. We're not communicating. We're talking. I may talk, hey girl, what's up? How you doing? And then we do the common rhetoric or tradition.
Right, it's surface.
And then you don't really hear what she said. Right. And she's telling you, okay, I'm depressed. Hey girl, I'm tired. This man cutting up at the house. I'm telling you all these things, but you're not hearing me. So we're not communicating. And then when you see something that you feel is not womanly, then I'm wrong. You talking about me to somebody else instead of saying, hey girl, what's really going on? Like,
what
are you
can I
okay?
do to help you?
You want me to come over? You want to get a couple hours? Let me get the kids. You get you a couple hours of sleep. Even if he is cutting up, we don't have a sense of community. We're not communicating. We don't have a sense of community. And then we're not doing what we're supposed to do as women with each other.
Do you think that's women in general, or do you think that's African American women?
That's women in general, but definitely with African American women, because I have the privilege to have many friends of many different nationalities.
Right, diversity, yeah.
And so you don't see that in their community. Like the Indian communities, they actually have a mother of the husband or the wife would come when they have a baby. And so the wife doesn't even technically supposed to touch the baby for 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
And so, every other culture, even in like African culture, it is known for you to get help. It is known for you not to take care of your home alone. We are a community. And then when African American women, we go back to those stereotypes. So it's mainly us, and it's because of my mom told me I was supposed to go to college. My mom told me what was important is to go get a degree, go in those people's job for 30, 40 years, hope you get a good pension and retirement check, because that's what my grandma did. That's what my grandma told me to do. And now that we're in a day and age where we're realizing, like, okay, pensions are getting cut out.
We're coming into our own.
You're coming into your own, and then it's like, okay, now we're being in that area of feminism again, because we're questioning what a woman really is. Like, just because I'm a woman, that means I have to be a mother. I don't have to have children. Just because I want to be a mother, I have to be someone's wife. Those are the things that are coming up now that are not. It's usually you get married, then you have the baby carriage. Right. That's that old nursery rhyme. The Prince Charming come and take you away. Then you push. You get married. Then you have a baby. It has to happen in that order.
Right.
And I think that's what women have been taught for so long. And now that we're questioning that, now that you see people not doing that, the more you have people not doing that.
I can relate to that because a woman can have so much, I will say, material success, but I'm not really materialistic. But you can have a successful career. You can have, a nice home, a nice car. You can travel a lot. But if you are not associated with a spouse or a significant other, especially if you get to a certain age, they start to question, well, what's wrong with you?
something wrong.
Yeah, let's expound on that a little bit.
It's because of the stereotypes. It's because of what people think that you should have, and I think that we as women we keep that going.
Right.
We don't knock them and say, "Hey, what you mean?" Like I'm. And then what we do is we don't answer the question correctly. I make 6 figures on the job. I own my own business. I have a Benz. I wear red bottoms. I wear Louis Vuitton. I wear Michael Kors. We throw out those materialistic things instead of saying, "Hey, let me school you real quick. Right. This is what I have. This is my portfolio. This is what I'm doing. This is what I do for the community. This is what I do for children. I have children. I could have a man, but I'm waiting on the man that's supposed to be for me."
Right.
We don't say that. We go and start throwing out, trying to give them accolades so that we could prove to them that I'm a woman.
We're better.
I'm good. You questioning me because I don't have a man? We don't answer that question correctly because we're not communicating. We're actually just talking to each other, and you're picking a toothpick out of somebody else's eye when it's a beam in yours.
Right. So we're talking to respond rather than talking to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
So with that being said, then how do we begin to change that?
And
not belittle the successes of others? How do we, not discount what they've done and how they portray themselves as what a woman means to them? And then on the opposite spectrum of that, how do we not belittle or discount a woman that has chosen the traditional route of being a homemaker, being a mother, and supporting her husband or whatever, and things of that nature?
I think it's dialogues like this. I think it's communication with each other, having more events like what you on with Michelle Speaks and Healing Women, Healing Nation does, having those type of events and really encouraging women to come to them, because every time we do stuff like that and you come out and you have a sense of community, when you realize the biggest thing that you can realize as a woman, there's someone else out there like you.
Right.
So if you feel like an island, like I'm on this island by myself, oh my God, I can't believe that I don't feel like being a mom today. Oh my God, he getting on my nerve. Like I really can't believe that I'm talking about like I could be without you.
Right.
The first time you hear somebody else say that, you're like, oh, I ain't by myself. Like for real.
Right.
You have a connection with someone else.
We all have those moments. Yeah.
Right, but because we don't talk about those things and it's taboo to talk about that type of stuff. It's taboo to talk about, I think something going on in my marriage, like what can I do to spice it up, or what should I say? Because you've been taught that you get married, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. You get married, but they don't talk to you about what happens after you get married. And so even those type of things, how am I supposed to be a good friend? I've always been thinking, okay, that someone is my friend, and when I had a good friend of mine, she said, you know what, the reason why you don't know how to be a friend is because you never had one. You don't know how to be a good friend to someone until someone has been a good friend to you. It's something that's learned. It's something that is taught.
But what is your definition of a good friend? That may be different for every person or every woman.
That would be different for every person because everybody has their role. I have friends who will tell me like straight up and down, you wrong. You wrong. Like that wasn't cool what you did. That was wrong. Like I'm your girl. We're gonna go have some wine after this, but you was wrong for that. And then I have friends who would never tell me that. They'll be my yes person the whole time. Girl, I want to do this such and such and such. Girl, yes, that sounds like a great idea. And then go tell somebody she's stupid. She's trying her 111 thing. But they won't tell me that. And so knowing what people fit, knowing who they are.
They're supporting you on the surface, but in reality, they're already talking about your demise or your inability to succeed in whatever it is that you share with them.
Correct. And that's where you learn about placing people. Because that person, once I identify you as that person, it's certain stuff I'm not supposed to tell you. I'm not supposed to talk to you about certain stuff. And that's cool. Because you may be the person that we drink wine with. We have wine tastings. We go out to eat. We may go watch a movie. The kids get together. We have play dates. But that's as far as it goes. But then the person who is my confidant, that I could tell everything, I know that she's doing it. She's proving herself to be my friend. But the other person, I won't share with her, oh, you know what, he made me mad. Like, I don't know what to do. I think I want to leave. Or, the kids are cutting up. I think I need a vacation. I'm having some thoughts myself. I wouldn't share that with the person who I've identified as not being that person.
And tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like it's learning to classify and compartmentalize your friends. And from my experience, what I've observed is that men are so much better at compartmentalizing their lives.
They are, and I think because we want to be, that is our nature. So I think that comes with me having that motherly. When people say, that's why I think they say you should be mother. Yeah. You have that nurture. You want to be, oh my gosh, I'm going to be, she wants to be my friend. I want to be her friend. We get that from kids. My third grader comes home and is like, it was a kindergartner. I really don't want to be their friend because they're in the kindergarten, but they want to be my friend. It's like you have to because it's what you're supposed to do. Right. But it's like, if you don't want to be their friend,
they don't have a choice.
Don't be their friend. Like, you don't have to be somebody's friend.
Right.
And I think that is always the option of having to be nice, play fair, share.
Right.
It's we don't decipher, we don't differentiate when we tell kids that what areas that fit in. It's like, share. You have to share. Right. Or, be nice, be kind.
Why do you have to be nice? Right.
And we don't tell them like why. And so it's kind of like, as a kid, you like, okay, that's just across the board. I have to be nice. And it's all about trusting yourself. If you are a woman who is confident with herself, self-confidence, self-aware, you trust your gut. Now when I meet someone, I'm talking to them, I'll say, you know what, like, okay, I met this person a couple times, as we're talking with each other, if they and I'll be like, Lord, let me know. Right. They'll say something. I'm like, yeah, you wine girl. Like, we talk about wine. And I know that, and that's cool. And then there's some people you'll meet and you'll say, oh my, we got a kindred spirit, Lord. Thank you for sending someone else that I could actually share with. And as you build that relationship, it's not like, girl, I got diarrhea of the mouth the first time I get you. Girl, my man.
That was not an image I wanted to see, but I understand what you're saying.
But we do. So
that basically, you can't just open up your life and pour out your life to people that without really getting the chance to get to know them. Depending. Yeah, it takes time to build a relationship.
You have to. Yeah. If it's like that with your mate, then why isn't it like that with your friends?
That's true.
If you meet a guy and they tell you, back in the day it was courting, so you had to sit with your parents and the guy was sitting there, and then after a couple of months he could take you on a date at the church. Right. And you know how that go. So if you have to court with the relationship, old school. I'm from the South. That's how they tell you do it in the South. You're supposed to date. You're not supposed to be kissing. But if you do that,
did you abide by all that?
No, ma'am. But then you feel bad because that's what they told you, and that's what I'm saying. You learn that those are the things that they tell you, and you're like, okay, I didn't die from that. You think they have you thinking that you kiss somebody, you're gonna get pregnant, and you have a baby. Like, it's crazy. But because we don't court our friendships, we don't court them. I meet someone, I've known her for 20 years. Okay, she's been my friend for 20 years, but that does not mean that she does not switch categories.
Right.
We grow up.
Because you grow and change.
The Sequoyah I was at 18 is not the Sequoyah that I am at 33. It's not. It can't be. It can't be. I've had children. I've lived more days. I've woken up. I went to sleep. I've seen people here. I've seen people die. I've seen so many different things. I've experienced so many different things. I've thought and prayed and learned about different things.
Right.
So I'm not that same person. So if I was to meet someone from high school and they're like, girl, in high school you used to do such and such. No, that's not that girl. I'm not that same girl. I've learned. I've become mature.
So they still have you in that box, in that mindset, in their minds. You're still frozen in time.
And so you have to always, even in your friendships with each other, and we're talking about, I'm not every woman. That's the key. If I meet you today, and as we're becoming friends, as we're going down our friendship, 10, 11, 12 years, I have friends now that we're all kind of pretty much went through the same stages.
Right.
We were friends, we were single coming out of high school, we started dating people, we got married, we have kids. So we have those similar things in life that are in common.
Right.
But I also have friends who I've known since high school that are not married. They have their doctor degrees, they're single, and they didn't go that path of wanting to have a family and stuff like that early on.
But it does not make them a woman.
It does not make them any less of a woman, but our relationship is different. So when they're calling me and be like, girl, I'm dead tired, I don't work 3 12s in a row, and I'm like, girl, I understand that, but look, I gotta call you back because I gotta get these kids in the bath.
Right.
They may not understand that because they don't have kids.
Right.
And so it's always your relationships with each other are gonna evolve, especially when you look at where you are in life. And you always have to cultivate your relationships, even if it is with another woman. You have to cultivate that, because today you may say, girl, we out here partying, we clubbing, and then the minute you say, okay, I have to mature a little bit, I need to go to school, I need to get a job, I want to open my own business.
Right.
Your clubbing friends are not going to necessarily be cool with that if that's not their place, and that's cool. Hey, when I want to have some free time and let my hair down, you're the person that I call. But if I want to have someone who's going to support me in my business and be supportive and tell me what I need to hear, that may be another friend.
Right.
And that's fine. But we as women, we hold too much to what that label is. Girl, you my best friend. We've been friends since high school. I've been knowing you. I know everything about you. We hold too much to that, and we don't allow each other to grow and expand it to be different types of women.
So how do we begin to change that?
It's identifying the issue. It's identifying, knowing who you are as yourself and being comfortable with it and saying, you know what, I don't want to lose her as my friend, but I may have to.
So say somebody wants to change it, but they don't know how to. Like, they don't know the first step in beginning to really identify who they are as a woman, let alone what they like.
Identifying yourself as a woman, I definitely would say you have to take that self-inventory and take that time away. I don't care if you have to say, look, I need somebody to watch these kids for a couple hours. I need, and take the time that is dedicated to saying, I need to do a self-inventory. You talked about Mr. Butler, the international director of E3, this, a little bit early in the call, and I remember in the beginning of the year we were on the Call of Eagles, and he said do a mirror exercise. I'm like, for what? Like, I'm gonna look in the mirror and I'm gonna be looking at stuff. And
for those that aren't familiar with the E3, the Call of Eagles is a call. It's a call for entrepreneurs that are looking to grow their business, and it helps to keep them accountable and gives them specific strategic plans and goals on how to get there. I just wanted to put that caveat out there for those that didn't know, but go ahead.
Great plug, shameless plug. Yeah. But definitely listen, doing like the mirror exercise and things like that, and taking time out for yourself. I had no idea what to expect for them. I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna look in the mirror, I'm gonna look at myself. I know what I look like. Been looking at the same face for 30-something years.
Right.
I know what I look like. But when you start doing those type of exercises and actually taking time for yourself, don't listen to what anybody else is going to say. Don't worry about what you believe. You have to go in naked, and not naked necessarily physically, but become naked with yourself. Question everything you've been taught.
Right.
Question every belief they've been telling you. Every Bible verse they've told you. Question that. Every teaching they told you that you're supposed to question that. And go through and do a self-inventory and come out with what you feel. If you for me, it was prayer and meditation and fasting and saying, God, please let stuff that when I throw it against the wall, if it's supposed to stick, let it stick. If it's not, let it wash away. Right. And being comfortable with what I was going to come out with on the other side.
And then not only that, accepting both the good and the bad that you see or that's revealed.
Correct.
And know that it takes all of that to be who you are.
Yes.
So learning to trust yourself, love what you see, the good, the bad, and the in-between. I'll say, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
I think it's really hard, because I can guarantee you when you come out on the other side of it, it's not going to be pretty.
Right.
You're not going to like what you see. If you like what you see still, go back and do it again.
Right.
It should not. This is not something where you're like, girl, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. It should not be that.
Did that exercise help you to come to the realization that you are not every woman?
It was a continuation.
Okay. It was a part of the process.
I would say a couple years ago, I had already had my first daughter, and was invited to a retreat, and they were very smart. It was when I first learned about doing like yoga,
right? And
saying, okay, well, going up, oh, that's voodoo. And I was like, okay, I really want to know. I really want to understand what this is, and what is this? Me trying to be open. And at the retreat, when they send you to the retreat, you're not supposed to talk to anyone. When they room you, if you know someone, they ask you who you know, and you're not allowed to room that person, because they don't want you talking to. It's not like, hey girl, what's up? Let me go. You're not supposed to talk to anybody.
What kind of retreat is this?
It was a Christian retreat that we went to to Daytona. And you're not supposed to do a lot of talking. The whole point was that you're meditating, you're praying. You're doing your yoga, you're doing your meditation, things of that nature. And so like even when you got up in the morning, like the time they got up, it was like, okay, when you get up, we don't even really want you looking in the mirror and brushing your teeth. Come downstairs. If you're gonna use headphones to do your meditation and stuff, come downstairs. And you will sit in the room and you will be quiet. You doing your meditation, you doing your prayer. And it took for me to get quiet and get still, sitting on the beach, sitting in that room and saying, okay, I have to go to the deepest level of myself. And meditation, it takes you to do that. You have to clear out everything else. I don't care who needs a snack. I don't care what needs to be watched, what bills need to be paid. I had to be centered with myself.
Put everything on pause.
And put everything on pause.
Focus on you.
And I don't think I've cried ever that much in my life.
Wow.
I cried for 2 days straight. That's like crying. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm sad. I don't know if I'm happy.
Right.
I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm crying. And is it a cry for help? Am I depressed? I was so confused.
And
I didn't know what happened.
What did you determine from that?
It was awakening for me, because it was like, okay, everything that you're doing, you're crying tears of joy. You're crying tears of depression. You're crying tears of past hurt. You're crying because somebody wasn't there in your life.
So
you're
it was
crying.
A cleansing in a sense.
It was a cleansing for me. And I realized at that moment that almost everything that had been taught, good and bad, I had to reapply that to my life. If that was a cleansing for me, if that was a new beginning for me, I decided that day that I was not going to live my life the same.
Right.
And that I was going to have a relationship with God, regardless of church, regardless of what someone told me, regardless of who was my friend. And so if I did that in one area, I had to do that in every area of my life, or it would be for naught. So I had to come back and reevaluate my friends. I had to come back and reevaluate my marriage. Me being a woman, me being a mother, me being a friend, me being a daughter, me being a sister. all of those relationships and those roles that people that you have, and that people expect from you to act a certain way, I had to question those, because if I was gonna do that 2 days of crying and question what God was telling me, if I was questioning God and talking to God, I gotta question everybody else that's in this world, on this earth, revolve around with me. And if it didn't stick, I have some people that are not my friends anymore that I don't talk to. My relationship with my mother had to be defined as a different way. My relationship with my sisters had to be defined in a different way. I had to explain some things to my husband, that I was not going to be a certain type of wife, and we had to communicate, hey, what do you really expect? Because what do you think being a wife really is? What are your expectations? And I'm a mother and I'm working, so these things, it's too much.
So that was not a conversation that you guys had when you got married?
It was conversations. I was young when we got married, so it was those
the expectations.
It's better to get married than to be married. It was to do those type of things.
You went back to the Bible. It's
Girl,
better
it was like it's better. Every time you was doing that, you was like, I'm wrong.
It's better
Jesus.
to marry than to burn.
Lord, please forgive. It was like every time you're doing something, you having a business, you like, Lord, please forgive me. I've sinned, Jesus. Like, let me just hurry get married so it can be all right.
Right.
And so you go on that premise, and then you learn as you grow older that that was not all that wasn't all cute. Right. And now you go, and I didn't immediately have kids. I had we were married almost 5 years before I had my daughter. Wow. So it wasn't like we didn't have those times and those trying areas and situations that was like, okay, are we gonna stick with this, or are we gonna just let it go or do whatever? But it wasn't implanted into to do those type of things because you were going by biblical stuff. Okay, let's get married because grandma and them said anything or doing whatever. And you have to come back and have those conversations, because it's all about communication. It doesn't matter who you have it with. And those stereotypes about my marriage, those stereotypes about my friends were developed by someone else. It wasn't that I sat down and said, hey, she's really my friend because of this. She's really my friend because of that. And I had to do that. I had to sit and take the time to realize what I wanted in a friend, who I wanted to be as a friend, who I wanted to be as a daughter, who I want to be as a sister, and so forth.
So it all boils down to self-reflection.
It does.
Right. So Sequoyah, I want you to, in a few moments or words, give our listening audience one of your defining moments, and then give them a takeaway and a call to action, and let them know how they can reach out to you and how they can contact you.
One of the takeaways that I would definitely tell everyone is that I'm not every woman, and neither are you, and that is okay. Young Vincent always says that I'm not my sister's keeper, I'm my sister. And that goes into so many different areas, and that I have to accept who you are, and you have to accept who I am, and that's okay. And not trying to play into all those roles, and not trying to be perfect, and not playing into what you think you're supposed to be. Find out who you are as a woman, draw that line in the sand, and then become the woman that you are supposed to be for you and no one else. My name is Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of ASE Enterprises. You can find us at www.aseenterprises.com, or you can even give me a call at 904-900-8414. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Sequoyah, thank you so much for coming and being so open and sharing and letting us know what I am not every woman means to you. For my listening audience, just a few takeaways. If you are in a position and you feel like you thought you were every woman, but in listening to our episode today, you realize that you are not every woman. Some key things that I want you to take away. Number one, you have to get someplace quiet and alone, away from all the distractions of every day, away from family, friends, loved ones, and do some self-reflection. And then I recommend that you do the mirror exercise as Sequoyah talked about, because she was able to realize some things by there were some things that she loved about herself that she found out. There were some things that she did not like about herself that she found out. So in that time, that's a time of being able to redefine who you are, and then accepting the woman that you are and the woman that you are not. So again, Sequoyah, thank you so much for agreeing to come out and come on and share with us what that means to you. And so I want to thank you again, and I want to thank my listening audience, and let you know that you have been listening to Michelle Speaks with me, your host, Michelle Portier, and we've been talking about I'm Not Every Woman, with my guest this evening, Miss Sequoyah Lindsey Taylor. And these are just her roles that I'm saying. She's a mother, she's an entrepreneur, and she's a mentor, but she is so much more. Tune into us every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of our shows are available in our podcast directory for free 24/7 by going to 180radionow.com/podcast or click the podcast link in the menu on the homepage. Click the Michelle Speaks logo and you can access all of our previously aired shows. Download the 180 Radio Now app on Google Play and Apple App Store. You can also listen directly on the 180 Radio Now website by clicking the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage. Also, listen through your web browser on every major internet radio directory: iTunes Radio, TuneIn, Radio.com, Streema, Screamer Radio, and more. It is our sincere prayer that what you've heard today has blessed you and provided you with information you can use to help you in your situation or someone else's. Tune in again as we get to the heart of the matter, because if you hide it, you can't heal it.